Shabbat Shalom. We begin with our song of welcome. Everything will be on the screens in front of you. Hine ma tov, how good it is to be together. Hine ma tov, u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov.
How sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is. How good it is. How sweet it is. To be together on this day. Hine ma tov, u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, 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 shalom aleichem. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine ma tov, u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
We continue now with the lighting of our Erev Shabbat candles, and we'd like to invite the newest member of the Jewish community, Astrid Munn. Come on up and lead us in the lighting of our Shabbat candles.
Light them first and then say the
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Oh no, what happened? Oh no, it's okay. You're
It's
very
okay.
concentrating on the blessing, and that's
It's okay.
No, you did nothing wrong. The candles did it.
Well, actually, the AC probably did
We're
it.
going to blame the wax and the AC. It's okay. They do it on purpose to make you nervous. Good job.
We are delighted to welcome all of our members, our guests, all of you to join us in a double mitzvah. We talk often about double mitzvot on Shabbat, but in a slightly different context. To welcome not just Shabbat, but also Astrid into the Jewish people. And it is a wonderful way to celebrate as community, as friends, in melody, in song, in word. And so with that in mind, we are going to continue now with the welcoming of the Sabbath bride with Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat,
You may be seated. There is a wonderful story of two people who met, and they both happened to be Jewish, and they knew each other, but they couldn't figure out where. And so they began to share stories about the neighborhood where they grew up. They grew up in different neighborhoods. About the friends they had had different friends. About the doctors they went to, they had different doctors. About the rabbis they knew, they had different rabbis, they had different cantors. On and on and on went this game of Jewish geography. Until finally the first one said, "Aha, I know how I know you." And the second one said, "How do you know me?" He said, "Because I stood next to you at Sinai." There's this wonderful tradition in Judaism that as Jews, we all stood together at Sinai, not just the generation who received Torah, but all those who came before them and all those who came after, including all those who chose along their life's path to join the Jewish people. This is why in Jewish tradition it says you never point out that someone converted unless they choose to state that themselves, because it is as if they stood at Sinai and have been a part of our people always and forever. And so with that in mind, we are honored now to invite up Astrid to come join us once again, and the candles are still going. You're good. That was not a test, by the way. So come on up. And so, Astrid, we are going to invite you to read a little bit of your statement to the congregation.
All right. Thank you so much. And before I begin, I just want to thank Mindy and Dan Marburg for sponsoring my oneg tonight, and also Dan and Sarah Gilbert for making a gift to Temple Israel in honor of my conversion. I don't have a lot of family here in Omaha, so it means a lot that my Temple Israel family stepped up to mark the occasion. Although a person could conceivably convert within a year or so, I have taken almost 4 years to reach this point. After all, you cannot take a Catholic girl from El Barrio to a few classes and a few seders and make her Jewish overnight. As seamlessly as Reform Judaism has felt to embrace from the outset, my actual conversion had to come slowly and from within. Early in the process, I started having a recurring dream. In the dream, I stood before an altar in a cathedral. The ceiling would crack open and the walls would crumble. Amid the rubble, I would always find 2 Shabbat candles waiting for me. Then the alarm would go off. It was as though all the minions and Shabbats I did in my waking hours had to soak their way into my subconscious and rewire my soul in my sleep. I knew I was ready for my Beit Din after a layover in Munich. I had flown through Germany a few times prior to converting. Back then, Germany seemed not unlike Nebraska, just European. This time, however, the general vibe that before I kind of disregarded as a towering blandness was better recognized as a begrudging restraint. Though I was not wearing a Star of David, in my head, my Jewishness felt obvious to others, with the airport quietly resigned to tolerate me and the women in hijabs passing through. My conversion process has been a deeply fulfilling experience, and I'm excited for the road ahead. The most exciting aspect of Judaism to me is the freedom to feel my feelings. All my time in Nebraska, I have been surrounded by people who walk around with smiles plastered on their faces, even though their anger and disappointment ache to shine through. The truth is that a lot of people feign brightness because they worry that if they were to express unhappiness, this would somehow count as an admission that God failed them in some way. Judaism has shown me that sometimes acts of God are beyond our comprehension, and that it's okay to be mad at God and to argue with God. Fortunately, I have not had to do much arguing, but I treasure how Judaism encourages me to be authentic before God, because if I can be real with God in my prayers, I can better practice being real with myself and others. All my life, the practices of prayer and attending service have been meaningful to me, and they keep me human. Both activities involve forms of meditation, and they ground me, reminding me to be still and aware, calm and present. And because I never really prayed to Jesus, his followers made him too polarizing a figure for me to ever bother him. The universal themes of Jewish prayer ring especially true, not just to me, but also my Christian friends and family, who often join me in my observation of Shabbat and Jewish holidays. For my Hebrew name, I have landed on Esther Judith. Judaism has encouraged me to embrace my femininity and sexuality as sources of power, not shame. And both these figures, Esther and Judith, used these assets to help their communities. I similarly look forward to serving Temple Israel and doing my part to foster peace between us and the community at large.
So now we are going to open the Ark and have you hold a Torah scroll. So we're going to invite everyone who is able to please rise in body and or in spirit as the Ark is opened. This way. I'm glad I practiced this earlier. See? How's that feel?
You can lower it if you want.
So we have a few questions for you in front of this kahal, this wonderful gathering. Astrid, do you choose to enter the eternal covenant between God and the people Israel and to become a Jew of your own free will?
Yes.
Do you accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other religious faiths and practices?
Yes.
Do you pledge your loyalty to Judaism and to the Jewish people under all circumstances? Do you promise to establish a Jewish home and participate actively in the life of the synagogue and of the Jewish people?
Yes.
Do you commit yourself to the pursuit of Torah and Jewish knowledge?
Yes.
And if you so choose to be blessed with children, do you promise to raise them as Jews?
Yes.
And now we're going to invite you to recite the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Wonderful.
Put the Torah back and invite you to stand in front of the ark as we give you the priestly blessing, the blessing that our ancestors have been charged to bless all people of Israel with from the book of Numbers. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'asem lecha shalom.
Astrid, may God's presence always be with you. May God bless you and your continued journey with the blessing of shalom, of wholeness, of completeness, of peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, Yehelanu, 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 Ulecha Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecha Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecha Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecha Yisrael. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. You
And
can sit.
if you guys can remain standing, we will continue with the Baruch Hu. Please join me if you so choose. Give your love wings to soar with the music and the prayers that dance between us, that sing around us, that rise shimmering to the heavens in radiance and glory. Give your heart freedom to float breathless in the vastness of the universe, to become one with the soul of all being, to enter the majesty of light. Pulsing from the ancient yearnings of our hearts, Give your love wings to soar when you reach God's holy place. Open your hands in blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Please join me if you wish. We are Israel, witness to God's covenant. We are Israel, forbidden to worship power. We are Israel, prophets of a vision for all. We are Israel, schooled in the suffering of the oppressed. We are Israel, trying to beat swords into plowshares. We are Israel, teaching sacred words from Torah. Hate evil and love what is good. Let justice flow as a mighty stream. We are Israel, proclaiming your truth, as we did on the shores of the sea.
כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות. באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא. And the river is dear,
And the river is fear,
and the river is hate,
and the river is hate,
and the river is standing between us and the gates of freedom.
the river forgives.
And the river's a wall, and the river's a bridge to freedom. Freedom. But we shall overcome. One freedom. Freedom. Yes, we shall overcome one day. Yes, we shall overcome one day. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom, V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
We continue now with the central section of our worship service with the Amidah. We once again invite all those who so choose to rise in body and or in spirit as we face the ark together.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agiti latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mibig Geulah Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, U'mi'adam elav, chaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanata l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Shalom Imrov, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel,
Our thoughts turn now to our loved ones, those in our lives, our community, our congregational family, our worlds, all those who are ill and ailing. You can find many of their names on the screens above. In a few moments after their names are read, we'll invite you, if there are others you wish to contribute, as well as those joining us virtually. We'll be happy to mention their names as well, and I apologize in advance, as I'm still a little new here. There might be some mispronunciations, so please forgive me. I promise to get them right within 20 years. So for those who are ill and ailing, we think of Susan Alexander, Joe Alvarado, Susie Anderson, Hal Honored, Juventino Avalos, Virginia Becker, Tony Beraldi, Jeff Bradfield, Jean Brosco, Lisa Brunkhorst, Hildaro Carrera, Sandy Christofferson, Kevin Cooper, John Cunningham, Jen Dawson, Dominic Eads, Ariana Elness, Mildred Fisher, Jenny Forrell, Jerry Goldstrom, Judy Kamen, Ronald Kaplan, Nancy Katz, Karen Levin, Brandy Matson, Emily McWhirter, Carmen Munn, Brian Nog, Pedro Comi Ompio, Nadine Ostro, Doris Parker, Wendy Passer, Gail Peterson, Jamie Poole, Kathy Popelka, Mark Ratner, Gloria Romero Downing, Holly Rosenberg, Samuel Rosinski, George Sachs, Steve Seglin, Tessa Serrano, Linda J. Sherman, Leon Simard, Teresa Smith, Dee Dee Spiegel, Christy Swenson, Sarah Jane Tietzel, Laura J. West, Barb Wigg, Brent Wine, Kate Uel. If there are additions or corrections, we invite you to mention them at this time. And for our guests, if there are names, you can mention them too if you wish. Robert Sharff and Linda Sharff. We have Diana Exhoken, David Sklon, Robert Veach, Jean Forel, and Carol Marshall. May the God of our ancestors bless all those who are ill and ailing with the refuah shlema, complete recovery of mind, of body, of spirit. And for those unable to make a full recovery, may God continue to be a source of peace and comfort in their lives. May God grant strength to those who are dealing with the challenges of mental illness and or addiction. May God grant strength to those who love them, especially their caregivers, wisdom and protection to those who care for them, and strength to all of us who love them. Together as one loving family, let us say,
Amen.
Amen. We join together in the Shabbat B'yachad blessing.
Shabbat Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Shabbat Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Yishaberach Avotenu, Yishaberach Imotenu. Hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well.
So just a brief Devar Torah tonight, because we've heard the powerful and profound words from our friend Astrid. A study from the Maryland School of Medicine reports that humor can be an essential part of a healthy lifestyle by suggesting that laughter may, in fact, go as far as helping to prevent heart disease. The study done under the guidance of Dr. Michael Miller found that mental stress is associated with impairment of the endothelium, the protective barrier lining our blood vessels. Conversely, as a reliever of stress, humor can help prevent the impairment of the endothelium. Thus, we learn to laugh more by finding the humor in our life may indeed prolong our lives. This is why comedians live forever. Now, laughter may not help as much as passing up my beloved food of chicken fried steak, but at least we will have something to smile about. Of course, this study from the Maryland School of Medicine really teaches us nothing new. As a people who have endured more than our fair share of tragedies for the past 2,000 years, we Jews have come up with what sometimes is our only defense mechanism, that being a sense of humor. For as the old Yiddish proverb says, laughter is indeed the best medicine. The point is illustrated quite well by Rabbi Joseph Telushkin in his book, Jewish Humor. In his book, Rabbi Telushkin argues that much can be learned about ourselves by examining our jokes. He states that our jokes sometimes belie a fear of the present, but that our jokes can also demonstrate a vision of hope as well. More on that in a moment. As many of you know, we have jokes for just about any topic under the sun, including the sun. But in particular, we often joke about our parents. For example, Goldstein has been in analysis for 10 years, seeing his doctor 4 times a week. Finally, the analyst tells him they've achieved all their goals. He doesn't have to come back anymore. Needless to say, Goldstein is terrified. Doctor, he says, I've grown very dependent on these meetings. I can't stop. The doctor gives Goldstein his home phone number. If you ever need to, call me anytime. 2 weeks later, 6 in the morning, the phone rings in the doctor's house. It's Goldstein. Doctor, he says, I just had a terrible nightmare. I dreamed you were my mother, and I woke up in a terrible sweat. No, so what did you do? I analyzed the dream the way you taught me analysis. Yes? Well, I couldn't fall back asleep, so I went downstairs to have some breakfast. No, what did you have? Just a bit of coffee. You call that a breakfast? And we also have jokes about our children. Mr. and Mrs. Goldberg are pleased to announce the birth of their daughter, Dr. Joan Goldberg. Our Torah portion for this week is Parashat Devarim. Devarim marks the beginning of the final book of Torah, the book of Deuteronomy. According to tradition, Deuteronomy is made up of Moses' final sermon to the Israelites right before they are to enter and conquer the land of Canaan. But before they can do this, Moses reminds the Israelites of all that they have been through to get to this point. In Parashat Devarim, he talks about their journeys from Egypt to Horeb and from Horeb to the Negev and all the stops in between and why he couldn't ask for directions. During this retelling, Moses gives the Israelites God's commands. See, I place the land at your disposal. Go, take possession of the land that the Eternal swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob, assigned to them and to their heirs after them. He later tells them, go up and take possession as the Eternal, the God of your ancestors, has promised you. Fear not and be not dismayed. Al tirav al techat. Fear not and be not dismayed. What an unusual phrase. Israelites are about to battle with the Canaanites for the possession of the land. Many will die, and victory, though promised, is not assured. Yet the Israelites are not to fear. They are instead to trust in the vision of God and in the promise of a better day. What is one of the best ways to conquer fear, if not through laughter? As writer Dr. Gina Bareka in Psychology Today wrote, so what can we do? We can use humor to put our fears into perspective. Humor addresses the same issues as fear, not to dismiss them, but to strengthen our ability to confront them and then laugh them away from the door. Humor is, of course, the one thing that fear cannot abide. Laughter banishes anxiety and can help replace fear. Laughter is a testament to courage, or at least the manifestation of the wish for it, and the courage is stronger than fear. We need a strong and healthy dose of focused humor in our lives every day. On this Shabbat, may we be reminded to take time each day, if we are able, to find time to find the humor, the joy, the laughter, the love. Times may be challenging, and they certainly are. And it is up to us not to make light of it, but instead to find the strength and fortitude to take on those challenges. And may we find our humor to be a source of strength and inspiration to quell the anxieties and the fears. For as we have learned, when we laugh, what we are really fulfilling is the mitzvah of al tirav al techat, fear not and be not dismayed. For laughter is not only the best medicine, even better than chicken soup. Laughter is the strength by which we will be able to find the strength to conquer another day, to help the world become as it ought to be, to help ourselves become as we know we should be, and to help repair the world, and to help bring about God's holiness, because laughter is the way that we can find God in each other and in the world as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And now we transition from words of laughter and divarim to words of aleinu. We invite all those who so choose to rise in body and or in spirit as we face the ark once again.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leyotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kegoy haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, ve'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad.
You may be seated. Our thoughts turn now to our loved ones, the martyrs of our people, those who have died in this season and in years past. And as is our custom, when you hear the name of a loved one, we invite you to rise in body and or in spirit. And if you rise in body, if you are so able, we encourage you to remain standing. We're in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, for Dr. Edward S. Cohn, for Alexander Gudis, and for Raimundo Di DeSicchio. And the yortzites, the anniversaries of the deaths we observed this week, are for Rose Altman, Dina Himmelblum-Bloom, H. Hugo Brandeis, Flora Birkenrode, Irving Kastman, Soralie Cohn, Gerald A. Dan, Joy Greenberg Kotzen de Vrieve, Solomon Fagan, Bernice Rotholtz Falk, Chaim Byron Farber, Bernard Fisher, Mildred M. Frankel, Haiti Margaret Gilk, Harry Goldstrom, Walter J. Greenberg, Morris I. Bud Greenspan, Samuel Hertzberg, Louis Hiller, Rose Gross Katelman, Esther J. Burnman Katelman, Gerald Cole, Joseph Z. Litt, Pauline Friedman Mayer, Betty E. Meyer, William M. Rosen, Grace New Rosenfeld, Henry Rosenstall, Gus Rosenstock, Betty Rosenthal, Irvin Aaron Sherman, Ann Silverman, Henry J. Sudman, Billy Trachtenberg, George Bruce Tuttle, Howard D. Van, Isidore H. Weiner, Rose K. Weiner, Fanny P. Winter, Rebecca Zeiderman, Joseph Zweibeck. If there are any additions or corrections, we invite you to mention them at this time. and Lori Veach. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled. We invite all others who so choose to rise as well in solidarity with the mourners as we join together in Kadisha Tom, Mourners Kaddish. Yit Kadal V'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divrach Rute V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agala V'zman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Olam Me'ol Maya. Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yitba'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei D'Kudashah B'richu. Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata. Tushbechata V'nechemata. Damiram B'yalma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya. V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. V'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Together as one loving family, let us say,
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. And if you guys haven't heard enough from me yet, we do have a few announcements to bring to your attention. So, first of all, I'd like to thank those working in the back of the house. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you to our greeters and everyone who's helped make this such a wonderful Shabbat. As a reminder, Monday is our annual golf outing. We look forward to seeing those who have registered to attend on Monday to enjoy a great day to have fun and support Temple Israel's mission. You can join me and the other gents out on the front patio for conversation for our next round of Holy Smokes, which will be taking place this Tuesday. Tisha B'Av is next week. We're hosting a service online and in person on Wednesday, July 26th at 7 p.m. We invite those grieving in our community to come light a candle in memory of their loved ones. Together we will mourn for them and then begin to move to the promise of hope and renewal that the coming High Holy Day season offers. We're hosting our next Temple Tot Splash Pad Shabbat on August 5th. Join Jenny Gates Beckman and myself, join myself too, as a partner with PJ Library for Fun in the Sun and a short Havdalah service. Visit the Temple Tots webpage for more details and to register. And please contact Mindy in the back if you have any questions about Temple Israel events. And to our guests, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them after the service as well. Anything I've missed? I'm sure I've missed
Well,
stuff.
I wanted to thank Kyle for joining us as our musician tonight. Thank you so much. Julie is at a family wedding. She'll be back in the future. And our guests, thank you to Reverend Chris Alexander for bringing her community here. Lutheran congregation from Columbus, was it? Columbus. Thank you for coming and joining. If you all remember, Reverend Chris worked over at Countryside before moving on to this community. So please welcome her back and welcome her community for coming to explore. We are going to continue with Kiddush and Motzi. Thank you. Invite you to rise and join in. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, Inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. Baruch
That's
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz te'avon. For our closing song, we are going to try again, Zeh Hayom Asa Adonai. This is the day that Adonai has made. We started learning it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to try to invite my children who learned it at camp to come sing, but they're giving me the dirty looks, so maybe that won't happen. But if they sneak out, that would be allowed. We begin with 4 versions on the same note, yad lai 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 lai. Do that 4 times. Then we go up and do again. So we'll do it twice so you get a chance to learn it. But please, share it with me. Yad lai 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 lai, 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 yad lai lai lai, yad lai 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 lai, lai lai, yad lai lai lai. Let's try it again. This is the day Adonai has made. Let us exult and rejoice in it.
Shabbat shalom.
Thanks, Evie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
And your certificates.